Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and we have a lot of different topics to break down today. So, of course, this is basically going to run like a Rico report. First of all, the Washington Commanders are apparently interested in potentially signing running back J.K. Dobbins as a veteran free agent before the season starts. We're going to dive into why we should or shouldn't sign J.K. Dobbins and add him to our running back room. Also, Commanders president Mark Klaus gave an update on the RFK roof and the SHAKY stands, which I know a lot of fans want. We're going to dive into all of that. Also, ESPN gave a win probability percentage for every single 2025 Commanders game. We're going to dive into those, especially to see if we agree or disagree with any of them, especially with one of the games where it's like, there's no way they think that's low, that low. Like, we have that small of a chance to beat that team, but we'll get there. And then also, the Commanders America's team now. Josh Harris's wife went out there and said that we were. We're going to dive into that too. But before we get into everything, I also have a fun fact for you that I'm going to give you at the end of the video. And before we dive into everything else, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all. And without further ado, let's go and dive into this video immediately. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, we have been seeing rumors going around now. Granted, I want to go ahead and get this out the way immediately. I'm not trying to clickbait y'all for the next 10 minutes, 5 minutes, however long we end up talking about J.K. Dobbins. I'm going to get this out the way now. There has been no super trustworthy source like an Adam Schefter that's out here saying this, but I'm seeing multiple Twitter accounts and different random reporters saying that the Commanders do have interest in Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins, most notably from his time with the Ravens. But last year, he's coming off of his best season by far since he's been in the NFL. He's a former Ohio State guy, so he was just joining in with the other Ohio State guys that we already have on the team, most notably Terry McLaurin and Marshawn Lattimore. But let's dive into it. Now, of course, pass rusher is still arguably our biggest need, but for sure the most popular need amongst Commanders fans. But ESPN's Matt Bowen offered the idea that maybe running back is one of the needs that we still need to fill in free agency. And he said that one of the best fits for the top remaining free agents at running back is J.K. Dobbins. And he also pointed out the fact that he would be an ideal fit for the Commanders and specifically offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury's offensive system. He said finding an ideal fit for a veteran running back isn't easy, especially at this point in the offseason, which is a good point. You know what I'm saying? Typically after the draft, all of the best talents are usually gone, even though there's still guys like Justin Simmons out there. I'm going to talk about him briefly later. But especially for a player with Dobbins' rich injury history. He missed 4 games with an MCL sprain last season, yet he still has managed a career high in rushing yards with 905 and tied a career high in rushing touchdowns with 9 last season. In Cliff Kingsbury's offense in Washington, I can see Dobbins providing competition for Brian Robinson as the early down runner. Dobbins can run in between the tackles and has the juice to create big plays on the ground. He took 27 carries for 10 or more yards last season. We need every bit of that. And then also continuing what Brian Manning of Commanders Wire said, great points, I completely agree. He said Dobbins is only available at this point right now, though, because of his injury history. In 5 NFL seasons, he has never played a full 17-game schedule. Now, granted, he's a running back. How many of them do? But granted, he's one of the ones that does not. However, at only 26 years old, still relatively young, especially with the technically 5-ish years of experience, because he had to miss an entire season, so you technically say it's 4, but he was drafted 5-6 years ago. He is healthy and coming off of the best season of his career. In his first season with the Chargers, again, he rushed for 905 yards, 9 touchdowns. It was an essential part of LA's offense, and one of the main reasons that they got as far as they did that season. But going back to the injury history, it's serious. Like back in 2021, he suffered a torn ACL in the final preseason game against the Washington football team that year, August 28th in 2021, and was placed on the injured reserve a few days later, and he missed the entire 2021 season. That was his second season. He was a rookie in 2020, and he showed a little bit of promise for the Ravens, and then he suffered that season injury in preseason in 2021, missed the entire year. And then 2022, he played some games, but he dealt with injuries then as well. He only played in 8 games that year. And then in 2023, he only played in 1 game because he suffered a season-ending Achilles tear during the Week 1 game for the Ravens which of course left him sidelined for the entire year that year as well. But then he goes to the Chargers, his first year with the Chargers in 2024, and he plays in 13 games, technically started 11, and again had the best season of his entire NFL career by yards, tied for touchdowns, but even on a basis of yards after catch, it was his best season. He broke his most tackles with 24. He had 24 broken tackles in 2024, which was more than his previous 3 seasons that he actually played in combined. Now, granted, again, he had a lot of injuries in those seasons, but still. So this is a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield and even break tackles as a runner in between the tackles. And this is a guy that supposedly, you know, his official 40 time was a 4.44, which is still faster than anything we have on this team right now outside of Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in our running back room right now. Brian Robinson nor Austin Ekeler run a 4.44 right now, and arguably never did. Even when Austin Ekeler was in the height of his career and was one of the fantasy kings at one point in time just a few years ago with the Chargers, he never ran a 4.44. Even during his prime, and he was a touchdown machine. He was literally, nobody could out touchdown him for a couple of years. He never had 4.44 speed. He was still getting caught from behind at times, even in those seasons. So J.K. Dobbins at 4.44 is still faster than any running back we threw out there last year for the Commanders. But Player Profiler actually has him listed as a 4.37. Of course, it's not super confirmed by a lot of different sources, but either way, 4.37 best case scenario, 4.44 worst case scenario, still way better than anything we have outside of Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt right now. So he has that potential home run speed that the Commanders running back room needed badly last year. I mean, we needed it terribly, man. Jaden Daniels needed any help possible, man. I mean, it was literally just Jaden Daniels carrying the team on his back. We didn't have a lot of yards after catch. We didn't have a lot of yards after contact from our running backs. It was every yard it felt like that we earned was through Jaden Daniels himself. I mean, he led our team in rushing last year. Can we never, ever do that again? And so I believe our 2025 7th round pick, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, has that same home run speed as well. But I want to level my expectations for a 7th round pick on a team that just went to the NFC Championship. I'm not just going to assume week 1 he's going to come out here and immediately still carries away from Brian Robinson, let alone start. But maybe you see it as J.K. Dobbins. Now, granted, 4.44 speed, but torn Achilles, torn ACL, all kinds of stuff. Who knows if he's still that fast at this point, but he's still, even after all of those injuries, may at least be a little bit faster than Brian Robinson and Austin Ekeler. But again, maybe you see it as J.K. Dobbins is that home run threat early in the season, and then you don't have to depend on him to stay healthy throughout the entire season, because maybe then later on at some point, Ja'Cory could come in and overtake him as the most explosive back later on in the season as he adjusts to the NFL level of speed and physicality, and he learns how to become a better pass protector, because we don't want Jaden Daniels out there getting folded. So Ja'Cory, really your quickest way to getting a lot more playing time is to learn how to become a better and more consistent, more nuanced and technically refined pass protector. You see the effort in his tape on his all-22. You're watching his tape from his last full season of playing college football in 2023. You see him willing to lay his body on the line. He just needs to get a little bit better technique. So J.K. Dobbins for really cheap, I'm down. But that's for very, very cheap. And while you're at it, go ahead and get me Justin Simmons to start at safety for you as well. Quan Martin, Justin Simmons are your starting safeties. Will Harris is brought in as part of the rotation. That's an elite safety group in my opinion. And then also go ahead and throw Von Miller in there for cheap as well as a situational pass rusher at edge. I would love that. I mean, since we having fun, just go ahead and give me everybody. Go ahead and sign J.K. Dobbins, Justin Simmons, and Von Miller while you're at it. Even though I just have a feeling with the fact that we haven't signed them yet, they at least want to get to OTAs and mandatory mini camps to see where we're at. They may even wait till training camp to be like, oh, okay, maybe we do have a big need here. I think they don't want to jump the gun immediately. They want to give a lot of these younger guys, these rookies, these undrafted free agents to show, okay, maybe this guy steps up, because that would be crazy. You go ahead and sign Von Miller today at edge, and the next thing you know, Jacob Martin finally develops into this elite pass rusher. I'm not saying it's likely, but it can happen. Dorrance Armstrong gets better. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, who's your 2024 7th round pick, he showed flashes last year. Maybe he develops into a guy. Or, maybe one of these random, the TJ guy that we brought in that's Nigerian. He's coming from rugby, and he's part of the International Pathway Player Program. I highly doubt he's ready to contribute anything meaningful on Sundays until like the next 2-3 years, but you just never know. You don't want to not at least give these guys some practices to show what they could do before you go and get a Von Miller, before you know 100% sure, yes, we need some pass rush juice. So maybe they're waiting to do the same thing at safety to see if Will Harris can handle full-blown starting safety responsibilities and duties that we need for this defense and a Dan Quinn, Joe Wood Jr. defense, or maybe one of these undrafted free agents or one of these backups. Maybe Tyler Owens takes that next step to where he's not just an elite special teams player. Maybe he's a really good safety on defense as well. Why stifle their development and stop their trajectory just to assume that we need a veteran when who knows? Maybe those guys have just been putting in insane work so far this offseason since the last time we saw them in that NFC Championship game against the Eagles, and maybe they're ready to step up. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? So I'm assuming that we're not going to make any major moves like that, like signing a free agent or trading for anybody, like some people are saying, maybe like a Jalen Ramsey or even trading for like a Trey Hendrickson. I don't believe that would happen until we at least get some practices in to see, like, to fully identify and know for sure, without any doubt, man, we really need some running back juice. Like, Ja'Cory just isn't ready to be that home run speed. Oh man, we really need another safety because Will Harris isn't ready to do that full time. Man, we really need a pass rusher, a situational pass rusher like a Von Miller or somebody, because none of those other younger edge rushers are ready to step up and be that for us just yet. So we'll see. But I'm just warning y'all right now. I'm saying all of that to say, don't expect any moves to happen anytime soon. Yeah, maybe we are interested in J.K. Dobbins, but I wouldn't expect us to sign him anytime soon. Maybe not until at least probably even training camp. But now moving on. Shouts out to the Commanders president, Mark Klaus. He was talking about the team's future stadium yesterday, May 19th. He said, we will be the only roof facility on this side of the Mid-Atlantic, and I don't exactly know what that means, like this side of the Mid-Atlantic is already a side of the Atlantic, and then this side of it, but I don't know. But he said, we will be able to host everything that's in the city on the national stage, and because of that roof, it allows us to create a pipeline for jobs and development, unquote. So again, just to reassure the fact that Josh Harris already said that it's going to be a roof, the reasons I've already laid out why it should be a roof, and I know a lot of Commanders fans want the natural elements and things like that. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm not pulling up to a game in 20-degree weather. I'm just not, man. So that's why they don't even let teams host Super Bowls in their stadiums, or at least cities host Super Bowls in their stadiums if the weather is that inclement, because most people don't want to deal with that. I know there's a small select few of y'all that prefer the insane elements, and I can see the argument for the fact that, you know, if you just so happen to be going against a Southern or a West Coast team and it's December or January, you can have the advantage because your team is more accustomed to it. Well, first of all, I mean, it doesn't matter how much time you spend in the cold. Most of these kids are born and raised in the South anyway. Most of these ridiculous athletes that are at the NFL level anyway, they don't want to play in the cold. Yeah, even if they've been on the Jets for years. They're probably still complaining like, man, this sucks. Like but even beyond that, again, they're thinking beyond just football. Football is cool and all, but they want to host the Olympics. They want to host concerts. They want to have well, now we know the draft will more than likely be at the National Mall and things like that. But any type of performance, WWE, all that type of stuff. They want the NCAA tournaments. They want all of that. And even speaking of that, he brought it up. He said that having a dome stadium allows them to bring in more events like Taylor Swift or the Final Four, WWE, all that type of stuff. Beyonce, even though she's already performed at FedEx Field, you're more likely to attract that level of talent to come in and perform if this stadium is domed. A lot of people just don't even want to be involved with a stadium that's not domed, man. And so this will turn the new RFK stadium into a stadium that's utilized 365 days a year, not just during the football season, but even during the summer when there's no football happening. They will host so many events. It will bring so much money back to the stadium, to the Commanders themselves, all of the money that they're putting into the stadium. So that's why they want it. If you want to hear Mark Klaus talk about it himself, here's a 44-second clip of that. If you want to skip it, again, 44 seconds.
A lot of arm wrestling. There is a roof on the stadium, and I think that's going to enable us to bring 30 to 40 world-class events. I mean, we will be the only roofed facility of this side in the Mid-Atlantic, and so whether that's Taylor Swift or the Final Four or any WWE wrestling fans out there, WrestleMania could come, but we are going to be able to host everything that's in the city on a national stage. And because of that roof, it gives us a chance to actually create a pipeline of jobs and development.
So here's a confirmation from the team president himself that the Commanders' new RFK Stadium in DC will have a roof. And he's even bragging about it. I mean, I really want to emphasize that Mark Klaus is the Adam Peters equivalent on the business side. I mean, he may not necessarily have like 100% control of the business like Adam Peters does of the football side, but they didn't convert him over from Campbell's being their CEO to come over here to the Commanders to have no real power. This guy's running the show, and if he wants it done, it's gonna have a roof. Just to let you know, because I've already done a full breakdown if you wanted to check that out on Mark Klaus once we like hired him to be our team president and everything like that. But before his role with the Commanders as our team president, basically again, how Adam Peters runs the football side, he's running the business side. But Mark Klaus spent more than 2 decades in the food industry and is the former president and chief executive officer, CEO of Campbell Soup Company. And prior to that, he was the CEO of Pinnacle Foods and held a senior management role at Mondelez International and Kraft Foods. This guy has been around. He has elite marketing skills. He knows exactly what a business needs to run effectively, to be really efficient, for people to love it, all of that type of stuff. So that's why you brought him in here. And he even went on to also say that they want to build a stadium that is, quote, iconic yet fierce, unquote. But he said Josh Harris, Mitchell Rales, and Mark Iron all told him, quote, you've got to make the stand shake, unquote. Now, granted, as Mark Klaus, I don't believe he grew up a Redskins fan, so he probably didn't even know this was a thing until Josh Harris and those guys really emphasized to him that they want him to do this. But Iron then joked in there, asking him a question, and told the crowd, quote, we want the stands to bounce, not shake, unquote. So he kind of wanted to emphasize that, like, we don't want this to be like a hazard or a danger to people in the stadium, but we do want to recreate that effect that RFK Stadium had. And the fact that Mark Klaus even said that they told him that, it sounds like they may be actually really considering it. Shouts out to this Reddit from the Commanders where somebody asked, do you think the new stadium will incorporate bouncy seats to its design? Albeit gimmicky now, I think it will be a great nod to the past and have a unique touch. Now, granted, I do want to emphasize the fact that I highly doubt that the metal seats in RFK were supposed to be bouncy and shaky. I think that was technically like a design flaw, and then we just kind of embraced it, and we probably used it to our advantage, and sometimes like we're creating an intense atmosphere to where we have like a real home field advantage and opposing teams really felt it. You know what I'm saying? There was just too much noise. There was too much movement. It felt like an earthquake. It was insane. I wish I was alive then. You know, I'm so young, I never had a chance to even go to an RFK game. But I mean, again, I don't think it was necessarily meant to do that by design, but who knows? Maybe they could come up with some creative, innovative way to simulate that without putting people in danger and at risk of going to games at RFK. But even as fun as that sounds, it may not be worth the hassle, money, time, and the effort. Especially like worst case scenario, say they put all of that money and time into building this new stadium, this whole hype and this rollout that they're doing right now, finally getting everybody to approve of everything, and then something that unnecessary could ruin all of it. I mean, just a few fans get hurt, and then the stadium is deemed uninhabitable or something, and that would just be a crazy, huge, cataclysmic level disaster for the Commanders, the NFL. We would just be without a stadium for a season or something like that. That would just be an insane worst case scenario, so it may not be worth it. But shouts out to Dr. Coleslaw, funny name there. He said it would be cool, but it sounds like a logistical and constructional nightmare. I'm more worried about the east-west orientation and how that could impact blinding sun as far as the players and the fans' eyes. And that's a good point too, because Dallas does have their fair share of problems where when the sun is at a certain angle, it's blinding the players and the fans in the stadium. So I'm more worried about that as well, but it would be cool. I agree. At the same time, Mark Klaus did not bring it up for no reason as far as the shaky seats, and Mark Iron corrected him and said bouncy. He didn't say no, we don't plan on doing that at all. He said no, don't say shaky, say bouncy. So it sounds like they are really seriously considering this. And again, if they do, because I mean, best case scenario, it's a great home field stadium thing that would be unique to the Commanders only. I love that potential, but the worst case scenario just doesn't feel like it's worth even the best case scenario. But hey, we'll see. Maybe they can do it the right way. And then also, Mark Klaus said, quote, "Our goal is simple-minded. Win games, compete to win championships year in, year out, but also to make sure we're the most trusted, most respected, that you can be proud to be a partner with the Commanders. We know we've got work to do," unquote. So I'm really excited about the future of everything they got planned on just the business side as well as the Commanders, because it's not just the draft in 2027. It's not just the new stadium in 2030. They have a lot of things that they're going to get to. I wouldn't be surprised if our facilities, if they come up with like a whole new facilities situation to where instead of trying to keep constantly doing these random upgrades to the bad infrastructure that we have right now in Ashburn, maybe we just get a whole new clean sweep, start over type of situation. Who knows? I'm just really excited. Shouts out to Mark Klaus. I trust him, Josh Harris, Magic Johnson, Mark Ein, and all of those guys to do what needs to be done. Now moving on, shouts out to ESPN. They released their 2025 projections, including win probability for all 17 games for every single team. So when it comes to the Commanders, week 1, they feel like we have a 66% chance of beating the Giants. And just to let you know, that's the second highest percentage chance they feel like we have in any game. Let's just go ahead and get that out the way. Next up are the Green Bay Packers. They feel like we have a 42% chance. I'm assuming that's because it's in Green Bay. So we're more than likely going to be underdogs going into that game, but I don't care. I feel like we have a great chance of winning that game. I strongly believe we're better than the Green Bay Packers. I feel like we were better than them if we would have faced them in the playoffs last year. And I feel like we got better at a higher rate than the Packers got better. I mean, of course, every offseason, everybody adds free agents, everybody gets a draft class, so technically everybody improves in a slight way. The difference in who's the better team is, did you improve this much or did you improve that much? And I feel like we're the one that improved even more than the Packers did. So I feel like we're the better team there going into that game. I feel like we were, again, the better team last year. So I know, yes, in Green Bay, but hey, it's not in Green Bay in January when those elements get to come into play. We're playing them when it's still going to be relatively warm. I think we have a good chance to win that game. But, you know, forget ESPN. They can doubt us all they want. Then week 3 versus the Las Vegas Raiders in Landover, Maryland. That's our highest percentage chance to win according to ESPN at 71%. And, I mean, there's not really much to talk about there, even though don't sleep on them. You know what I'm saying? 2024, they beat the Ravens. Like early in the season, I think it was like week 2 or 3. Nobody expected them to beat them that early in the season. And then in 2023, remember, they beat the Chiefs that went on to win the Super Bowl that year, late in the season, like week 16 or something like that. The Raiders just, the past couple of years, always seem to find a way to beat a team that they have no business beating. And then now they've added Aston Gentry this year. And since they beat the Chiefs, they had Brock Bowers and Aston Gentry. Do not sleep on the Raiders, especially with Max Crosby and those guys over there, a new coaching staff. They're going to definitely like spark some new belief in that team. So they're one of the weakest teams we play on our schedule, but don't just overlook them. Don't immediately be like, okay, let's go ahead and start preparing for the Atlanta Falcons after that. No, take the Raiders very seriously. Then, speaking of the Falcons, that'll be at the Falcons in Atlanta. You know I'm going to be at that game. They give us a 59% chance of winning that game, even though we're the away team. That's interesting. Then week 5 at the Los Angeles Chargers, they give us a 49% chance of winning that game, even though we'll be the away team for that one. Even though, again, technically, like I've already said before, the Madrid game and the Los Angeles Chargers games, I think those are going to feel like home games because I think our fan base is going to take over both of those stadiums. But they still give us only a 49% chance, so they're leaning towards the Chargers, but they feel like it's almost even. Then they give us a 54% chance to beat the Chicago Bears in Landover, Maryland. They give us a 52% chance to beat the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. They only give us a 39% chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. And I do want to let you know now, that is not the lowest percentage they have out of our schedule, which is crazy. I don't know how you feel like we have a better chance at beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City than one of these other opponents we're going to get to really soon. Because then next up, Sunday Night Football, they have a 61% chance to beat the Seattle Seahawks, which is our third highest percentage chance they feel like on the entire schedule. Shouts out to Sam Darnold over there, though. And then it's week 10 versus the Detroit Lions in Landover, Maryland. Not even Detroit, in Landover, a 31% chance of beating them. I don't know where they came up with that math. I could see the argument for Kansas City Chiefs at 39%, but why do we have less of a chance of beating Detroit in Maryland than we have at beating Kansas City in Kansas City? I'm so confused by that one. I don't know if that was a typo or something, but I definitely feel like not only are we the favorites, I feel like we should be heavily favored, especially not the least chance we have of winning any game this upcoming season. Insane. Then week 11, Miami Dolphins in Madrid, they give us a 54% chance, and I think we're we're going to have like 70% of the crowd. Bye week, of course. Then the Denver Broncos in Landover, Maryland. They give us a 52% chance to beat them. Then the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. They give us a 44% chance. I'm not surprised by that, but I think we're the better team. I think we should win that game. Then at the New York Giants in New York, a 58% chance. Then the Philadelphia Eagles in Landover, Maryland. They only give us a 43% chance, but they were the most dominant team in the NFL last year. I think they took a slight step back from all of the free agents that they lost, but we'll see. We got to go out there and prove that we deserve a higher percentage chance from all of these different analysts and things like that. I don't even want to call them experts, especially after I saw that 31% from the Detroit Lions. Then the Dallas Cowboys, 60% in Landover, Maryland. So they're predicting us to sweep the Giants and the Cowboys, but get swept by the Eagles, because then the last game of the season, they have us as a 35% chance to beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia, which again is a higher chance than beating the Detroit Lions in Landover, Maryland. I'm very confused by that one. I really don't get that one. Now moving on. Hey, shouts out to Josh Harris's wife, man. She definitely made a lot of Cowboys fans upset, and hey, we're always happy to see that, man. Every time, hey, do it. So on Monday, yesterday, Mrs. Harris briefly spoke to the media at a community event in Washington, D.C. alongside members of the Commanders rookie class. She's certainly excited about the NFL draft coming into D.C. to 2027. As Harris spoke about her excitement for the 2027 draft, she said something that upset a lot of Cowboys fans, of course. She said, quote, "We have so much to look forward to, and look, the Commanders are America's team. What a better place than to have the NFL draft than in the mall," unquote. And she probably didn't even think much of it, but of course Cowboys fans were highly upset about it. I mean, why wouldn't they be? Because that's really the only thing that they're clinging on right now, their marketability and their brand, because it's definitely not the on-field product. But shouts out to the NFL because they've spoken. Remember, shouts out to NFL Nerd for pointing this out. In a three-way tie for the most primetime and standalone games right now, pre-flex, because who knows, that final game of the season against the Philadelphia Eagles could end up getting flexed into a primetime game, and then we could actually end up with the most in the NFL. But right now, it's a three-way tie between the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, and none other than the Washington Commanders for the most primetime standalone games in the entire NFL for this upcoming 2025 season. And right now, to be honest, Dallas only has 8 instead of 7, because they're going to get a Thanksgiving game every year, no matter how sorry they are. But if we're talking about which team the country wants to watch the most, it's us. And even just to dive into them, we have week 2, Commanders at Packers. That's Thursday night. Then Sunday night football wise, we have week 9, Seattle in Landover, Maryland, and week 13, the Broncos in Landover, Maryland. And then also Monday night football wise, we have week 6, Bears at the Commanders in Landover, Maryland, and week 8, the Commanders in Kansas City to play against the Chiefs. And then on top of that, the 3 technically more primetime games, you want to call them standalone, but they're technically not prime time. Week 11, Commanders versus Dolphins in Madrid, Spain. Like, how do you get more prime time than the NFL, the first NFL game ever played in Spain, ever? You know what I'm saying? So that's technically not prime time, but it's a standalone. I count that. Then you have Eagles at Commanders Saturday. That's a primetime standalone game technically. And then you also have week 17 Cowboys at Commanders. That's Christmas. The first Christmas Day game. That's primetime, if anything is primetime. Even though, again, technically those 3 games I just gave you, Madrid, the Eagles on Saturday, and the Cowboys at the Commanders for Christmas Day, technically those aren't primetime, but everything that people brag about getting this many primetime standalone games, those count. And honestly, the Cowboys should thank us for being the reason that they play on Christmas. That's a primetime super Christmas matchup because the NFL had to find a team for the Commanders to play. I'm pretty sure they picked the Commanders first. Commanders have to play on Christmas. Now from there, who do they play? Cowboys, I guess. Shouts out to the NFL for knowing who's the real brand, and again, the Cowboys fans should thank us for that. So of course, a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans sounded off in the comments under the post, and of course, they've been known as America's team for forever. They received the name in 1978 when John Facenda of NFL Films called them America's team when narrating the Cowboys highlights for that season, and it's pretty much stuck since then. But that was 1978. We in 2025 now, y'all. And the only reason I don't want to be known as America's team is because that's a Cowboys thing. We would have to come up with our own catchy name or different phrase or something. You know what I'm saying? But the most important part is, forget a name. We are the team that everybody wants to watch right now. We are more marketable and people care to watch us more than to watch the Cowboys. And you don't have to believe me. Again, the NFL is saying it. Like, we are so popular and in demand that we are hosting the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. Ain't nobody coming to watch the Seattle Seahawks for that, at least outside of the Seattle fan base. That is purely because of the Commanders. We have that much pull and popularity that we have a primetime Sunday Night Football game against the Seattle Seahawks, man. So again, the NFL is telling you everything you need to know about the popularity of the Commanders, our marketability, and, you know, even though we're not America's team by title, we're America's team by viewership. We're America's team by all of the stats and numbers and by the on-the-field product. Again, even Mike Clay over there of ESPN is predicting that we're going to sweep the Cowboys. Don't be surprised if we do. And come on, man. I don't know if a lot of y'all have seen that Max B video where he was talking about Jim Jones and stuff. Come on, man. You got Jaden, elite quarterback, superstar Daniels. Dak Prescott. Come on, man. Get out of here, man. It's a different feeling when it comes to it, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please make sure you get in that comment section. Make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all. Of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Do you want the Commanders to go sign J.K. Dobbins? How do you feel about RFK? Pretty much confirmed that it's gonna have a roof. Even though we already kind of confirmed it weeks ago, it's a secondary confirmation from the Commanders team president himself now. Also, how do you feel about the potential of a shaky stadium or bouncy, like Mark-On wanted to correct it to be? Like, how do you feel about that? Do you think it's worth the risk? Do you feel like there's some type of engineering way that we could do that without, you know, potentially harming fans, putting them in danger? Also, how do you feel about the ESPN's win probability percentage for each 2025 Commanders game? Let me know which ones you agree or disagree with and why. And also, let me know how you feel about the America's team thing. First of all, do you feel like we are actually America's team? And then how do you feel about the title? Would you want to change the name like I do? And if you do you have any creative names that you can think of right now that instead of America's team, what do we call the Commanders? Are we the team of destiny? Are we the team? Are we the face of the NFL? Like, whatever name you want to give instead of America's team, let me know. But again, of course, let me know all of that in the comment section. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. Oh, and my fault, the fun fact, the Commanders posted a sack 7.9% of the time that opposing teams dropped back to pass in 2022. Only 5 NFL teams got to the quarterback at a higher rate that season. So we didn't do a lot of things well in 2022, but at least we got to the quarterback, man. And that's crazy because that's arguably our biggest weakness now. That's professional sports, man. You fix a few leaky holes and then another one opens out of nowhere. We fixed every other solution. We finally found the elusive franchise quarterback that we've been looking for at least in my entire lifetime. You can even argue when we were winning Super Bowls before I was alive, those weren't technically franchise quarterbacks. The guys that are your quarterback for 10, 15 plus years, leading you to Super Bowls over and over again. So we finally found that one, which is harder to find. And then now we don't have the pass rush that we need to have. So we'll figure it out. I trust Adam Peters to get all of that under wraps, but it's just crazy. You fix a few things and then something else breaks. It's just the nature of the sport, man. It's the nature of professional sports, period. Unless you're in a non-salary cap league like soccer over there in Europe and stuff, where you can just have everybody you want. There's no salary cap. As long as you have the most money, you're gonna have the best team. College football is pretty much going that way right now as well. My Georgia Bulldogs are suffering because of it. But either way, again, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything. Leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.